Dakar, Owam district, Abdul Aziz Guye, says local fishermen alerted authorities to a drifting wooden boat that lacked an engine. An investigation is underway to determine the origins of the vessel and the circumstances surrounding its lack of engine. Heads of aid organizations working in Gaza have called for urgent intervention after a UN commission concluded that Israel was committing genocide. The report from the UN Human Rights Council Commission of Inquiry was published yesterday. This says the Israeli army begins a ground assault against Gaza City. Israel says the report is based on biased sources and false information. Amit Halevi is an MP from Israel's governing party.
All of this is Hamas propaganda. The fact that any person in the world, if any human being that actually believe this type of neo-Nazi organization, it's a shame on him. I mean, it doesn't say nothing about the reality. It says only about himself.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Harare-based policy research organization, the Civio Institute, says South Africa's government of national unity has made little progress in fulfilling promises made over a year ago. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulo-Wepe.
SABC News, independent and impartial.
From an African perspective.
Hey, good morning, Channel Africa family. Thank you so much, as usual, for being a part of this incredible family. We always love to have you with us. And first of all, thank you to the morning team. That's Asanda Beta and Peter Ndoro, who kickstarted our morning on Africa Rise and Shine. And of course, to the news team, Jolane Tulongwepe, who started us off with some news. It's 6 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. And it is time for On the Move. My name is Palesa. Today, I ride without Benjamin Moshatama, who can't be with us today, but that's okay because I have you and you're always doing a fantastic job at keeping me company. Of course, you're the most important part of this team, so of course you have to be a part of this family indeed. So come in and join us at www.channelafrica.co.za. That's our website and where you can stream us live from, but there's so many other platforms where you can stream us. Find us on our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView HD channel 628, and of course the SABC Plus app. Let's take a look at some of the conversations you and I will be having today. We're speaking about relationships in the first hour, and one thing that's gotten so popular is hobbies, and one of the most popular hobbies is sports, right? People like to hike, running clubs have become ever so popular, so people are running, and so people are getting sportier and sportier, and some people have actually started off as just like a light-hearted hobby, have gone quite seriously into some of the sports, like running. All of a sudden they're running 21Ks and then a marathon. You know, people who hike in different parts of the country and maybe in other countries as well. But what is it like to be a partner of a sports person and someone who's always sort of engulfed in this world? We're going to be taking a look at that because there's so many things that come into play when your partner is a sportsman or sportswoman or a sports person in general. And we're exploring how couples can navigate the differences without losing the connection or without losing their cool in the first hour of the show. We move on into the second hour, taking a look deeper into a really interesting book titled Making a Life. That's by Dr. Hannah Dawson. And this book explores the dynamic everyday life-making strategies of young men in Zandspruit. And of course, this is a disadvantaged community. So we're going to be finding out a little bit more about this book and exactly how these young people, or these young men in particular, are making a living. We wrap up with our Live Well feature. Of course, we have to be good. And stress, we're all under so much stress. We're all under so much stress. We speak about it all the time, don't we? But people are actually finding their own ways to try and relieve them. And some of them are through the use of medications or something called adaptogens, right? And these have become so popular. One that I've been hearing so much about is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha this, ashwagandha that. Everyone is taking some ashwagandha. there's many more other adaptogens that are on the market these days. So easy to just go to the pharmacy or even any store and buy one off the shelf. So we're finding out about the risks, but also what exactly adaptogens are and how they work. Come in, join us at Channel Africa 1. I am streaming live on Facebook as well as on YouTube at Channel Africa 1 is where you can find us there. But also we're on X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, everywhere you are, that's where we are as well. Our WhatsApp number is +27 63406 9126. Let's take this 3-hour journey together. Welcome to On The Move.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
O Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Heritage Month is a time to remember where we come from and celebrate where we are going. Channel Africa. Catch us on DSTV channel 802.
Flip the music. Jackie,
And be ready to go. On the move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
and it goes like my mind there for you, my heart beats for you. Every time when I think of you, I don't know, I feel loved again. I don't want to wait for days. Let me have you in my arms again, please. When they all said I can't have you, I proved them wrong, I came for you. And you were done and they want to. You know I still come through, Give me love, yeah. Forever, yeah. I just wish for your love. My mind there for you, my heart beats for you. Every time when I think of you, I don't know, I feel loved again. I don't want to wait for days. Let me have you in my arms again, please. Your mind there for me. Put it on my bed, body. Love it till the yellow heat. Separate the soul and spirit from body. Now you take me heavenly. 2117, my head is beat, my dead at every.
This one is titled Forever, Gyaki featuring Omale. It's the remix and you tuned into On The Move right here on Channel Africa. The beautiful thing about relationships is that we have different interests. And I feel like that's the one thing that I love the most about relationships is that there are people coming from different backgrounds with their own interests and they get to engage with one another and learn about one another. But sometimes our interests aren't particularly in line and maybe they're very different from what we are, right? And the hobbies that come into play are part of those interests. And it seems like a lot of people are getting into sports, right? People want to go play paddle. People like to go hiking. More and more people are going into running, which is amazing. You know, it's something that we love to see. But we don't actually know what the other partner has to go through when you have a sporty partner. Someone who doesn't only run for fun, but maybe goes on a marathon or two a year, a half marathon perhaps. Maybe your partner is a bodybuilder and they have to go in different parts of the country to go show off their skills and, you know, compete with other people. Being a non-sportive partner doesn't mean that you're not compatible with your partner, but it does raise some unique concerns and challenges in that relationship, from mismatched routines, different ways of unwinding, and also financial, risks that come into play when your sporty partner has to do a lot of traveling and has to enter all of these competitions. So today, that's what we're exploring, you know, couples that navigate the difference of losing a connection perhaps, or maybe even keeping their cool when one partner is sporty and the other partner isn't. Apiwe Chele joins us on the line. They're a relationship coach helping us unpack this. Apiwe, thank you so much for joining us here on The Move. Good morning. Apiwe, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, perfect. How are you doing?
I am good. How are you, Palesa?
Doing great, thank you. Yeah, this is great because we're seeing more people actually getting into sports. And, you know, what might start as a light-hearted hobby for many usually goes on to become a little bit more serious as they enter more competitions. And sporty people will travel. Like, they will go on various routines. They might wake up early. They might have to go and, you know, have a routine that sometimes doesn't really include their partner. So let's look at that dynamic, right? Being a sporty partner with a non-sporty partner, it might seem okay at first because people have different interests and relationships are like that. But what are some of the risks of having this kind of relationship dynamic?
So first and foremost, I think it's when you're dating a sporty person, you have to understand that this is their lifestyle. It's not just a hobby that they do as in passing. It's become part of their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so you have to adapt to each other's lifestyles in a way that is supportive towards each other's lifestyles. And so, the challenge is, like you mentioned, things like waking up early on a Saturday when you prefer to be sleeping in bed, partners traveling away. There could be, a sort of quality time taken away by, your partner's lifestyle when they are quite sporty and they do engage in all forms of events of whatever that sport is. So there's quality time taken away, and so that is a challenge that you're going to start having in the relationship. But there's a way to address that challenge, to say, okay, you're away on a Saturday morning from 4 a.m. and you're only back at 11. How do we then find a way to, bridge that gap of the time taken away that we could be spending together? In the same breath, we can't assume that just because we have different interests that we're not compatible. So when you start looking at it as a problem, you then find a problem.
Okay, let's start with this, because I like how you started. You say it's not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And sometimes it does start off as a hobby and goes into becoming a lifestyle. When a relationship has lifestyle differences, because it's not just the sporty person who's engaged in a lifestyle, the other person has their own lifestyle as well. How do you engage that in any relationship dynamic when there's a difference in lifestyle, especially because you guys are also trying to build a new or different lifestyle together?
The thing is, we have the common things that are your deal breakers or your non-deal breakers. So between you and your partner, you come in as individuals who've always had lives separately. And so when you come together, there are common things between the two of you. They don't necessarily have to be about the sport. They don't necessarily have to be the same hobbies. But you find the common things between the two of you where you share interests. And those are the things that you put energy into and you put effort into and you put time into. So whether your partner has a different lifestyle from you, as long as it's not destructive to them and it's not destructive to your relationship, there are ways to navigate it so that the common things that work for both of you are the things that you both put the energy to, and the things that are individual interests, you're both supportive towards each other. To be able to either enjoy those interests, to be able to partake in those interests, but there's a common ground where you have to find, this is not for me, but my partner loves it so much, and this is what it does for my partner. Therefore, how can I be supportive towards my partner in order for them to thrive?
Yeah.
Because this might be something where, they get their sense of, of belonging, of peace, of balance. So you have to find the common ground where you're saying, I might not have the interest, but how do I then show support? It doesn't mean you're going to wake up at 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning and go stand on the side of the road and scream for your partner. But it could be a case of the night before you helping them prepare whatever they're going to need, or when they come back, you've prepared, what they're going to need in order to relax and, all of that. So the supportive part of it, there's so many ways to show it.
Yeah, all right. I needed to take a break. Sorry to come in there, Apiwe. We need to take a short break and we'll come back. Now I want us to really look intricately into the dynamics of that sporty and non-sporty partner, because sometimes sports can be quite all-consuming and it can also be quite expensive as well, and that can have a huge impact on the relationship too. So let's take this break. We're hanging out with Apiwe Chele, relationship coach, speaking about the relationship dynamic between a sporty and non-sporty partner and how these people can navigate this relationship dynamic.
This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika ndiye nduwake.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our cultures and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. 9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
All right, so maybe your partner is a runner, perhaps a bodybuilder, a hiker, or maybe you're the partner who's the sporty one, and you're in a relationship with someone that isn't sporty, that brings on its own unique set of challenges. We're taking a look about this with Apiwe Chele, who's a relationship coach, helping us navigate the differences without losing the connection between the partners in this dynamic of a relationship. Apiwe, let's go into that, right? There are a lot of things that can happen when your partner is part of a lifestyle of sports. First of all, there's probably a lot of traveling if they are competitive in the sport that they do, and that can also bring in the dynamic of finances. I know runners in particular, I'll use that as an example because it's a sport that's become ever so popular, especially amongst the young people, and people are starting to take it really seriously. In fact, many people who start running as a hobby go into it competitively at one point or another. The shoes are expensive and they have to have quite a number of them. If they have to go and run different races, they have to travel either by car or by plane, and you are the partner, especially if your relationship includes money, or you're sort of coming together into a marriage or a relationship that's already sort of merged together. That partner is using quite a lot of money, and it's not for the two of you, it's just for themselves.
Yes, so when it comes to finances and relationships, there has to be very open communication about what the responsibilities are, especially like you're saying in a setting where you are maybe setting up for marriage or you are living together on a full-time basis and are sharing financial responsibilities. So there's obviously a list of whatever those responsibilities are, and you split them according to whatever works for you guys. So, but then behind that, everybody still has their own individual financial goals that they're doing on their own. And so when it comes to finances, it has to be very clear what is it that we are doing together when it comes to our finances, who's responsible for what, and what our goals, financial goals. So if we've put in 2 years' time we want to build a house, how are you going to do it with all those other activities and all this other traveling and all that you have to partake in without taking away from what our goal is?
Yeah.
So I know it's very hard because it's like, okay, but you can miss, one race, you can miss one event, you can miss one tournament. But for them, those are the things that add up the value maybe to compete on a professional level.
Yeah.
So if they miss one, then they don't get to qualify. So you have to be very clear about what your financial goals are, how you guys are splitting your financial responsibilities, and then whatever is access to that, then you have access to be able to use it to fund the hobby. But it mustn't take away from the things that need to be happening within the home. And next thing, you can't afford, to your part of your responsibilities because you've overspent on a lifestyle event.
Well, let's also look at the life of the non-sporty partner. They probably have their own lifestyle things that they might engage in. Maybe they do have their own hobbies as well. But sometimes, the sporty partner's routine can be all-consuming. When the non-sporty partner starts feeling like they actually don't really have a place in the life of their sporty partner because they don't get to see them often, by the time they wake up, the sporty partner has already gone on their run or to the gym or wherever they need to go to prepare. Maybe they also do it in the evening as well, and then on the weekends they have a race, so there isn't a lot of quality time together. When the other partner starts feeling that the sport itself has consumed the lives of their partner and they don't have a place, then the real problem arises. How do you engage in a conversation that alleviates this?
Honestly, I think being honest to say, I have no issues with you and you finding your lifestyle and enjoying your lifestyle. However, this is where it's taking away from our relationship. How do we then balance this relationship so that I'm not starting to feel like I'm being drained by your lifestyle? And it's a honest conversations are always going to be difficult conversations.
Yeah.
So if you are feeling like you now no longer have your time with your partner, you're now no longer building anything with your partner because they are, building somewhere else, a lifestyle that works for them, then there's a problem, obviously, in the relationship. And the only way you can fix any problem is by coming and being honest about the fact that we do have a problem. How do we address this problem? Can you miss races that aren't necessarily impacting your marathon streak to qualify for like a Comrades, for instance? Or can you miss an event that's in Cape Town that is a non-factor to your performance within the sport? Because there are some of these events that are not necessarily events that people go to because it's going to impact what they are working towards. Just because it's part of their lifestyle, they know, okay, our club is going here, or so they go because it's part of their community. They belong to a community. They don't necessarily lose anything by missing out. And so once you start having those real open conversations, you can come back and say, you know what, I don't have to do this. Or the alternative is sometimes what happens is that you can travel with your partner, especially when it's traveling, around the country.
Yeah.
You travel with your partner, but then when you get to the destination, you go and enjoy your own interests while your partner, is enjoying their own interests. So there's compromises like that can be made. However, it then goes back to, can we financially afford for us to be traveling every other week or every other month to these events together, for me to enjoy what I need to enjoy and for you to enjoy what you need to enjoy?
Let's speak about apologies. Let's speak about reconnection pulse points because we're about to wrap up the conversation. For that relationship dynamic, even though there's nothing particularly wrong and, both parties have their own interests, they're pursuing them and they're thriving in the relationship, there has to be a point where it's not about anyone's hobbies, anyone's lifestyle choices, anyone's sport, and the relationship itself needs to be given the energy that is necessary. How does this relationship, the people in this relationship dynamic, create those reconnection pulse points?
Put the most effort, put the most amount of time in the things where you are that are common and you both enjoy. So when you know that you might be lacking somewhere because of something that's outside of the things that you both enjoy, then when you do put the effort into the things that you enjoy, you go 150%. You're not doing, out of routine, you're not doing out of, I know she'll like this. You're actually doing it with intention that I know I take away from this relationship in this sense, but when I put back in 150%. So the things that are very common to you guys, those are the things that will reconnect you, that will make you both enjoy having each other. And they probably normally the things that probably, you fell in love with to begin with before discovering, the other side. So if those things are intense, and if you put 100% effort, and you put 150% effort in those things, there's never other factors won't take away from the core of the foundation of that relationship.
Yeah. Well, really quickly before we wrap up, also, we speak a lot about support, the support of the non-sporty partner to the sporty partner. But how can the sporty partner also try their best to show support and interest in the hobbies and the lifestyle choices of the other partner?
The same thing, when you know what your partner's interests are, you always find little ways to show them that you are mindful of the fact that this is something they're interested in. So let's say, your partner is interested in pottery. They're interested, which is a very different environment kind of activity.
Yeah.
When you notice something that will, put a smile on your partner's face without them pointing it out to you, that's how you show the support. Or when you find ways to be mindful, man, of your partner's interests, and not have to be forced to show support, and to be able to compromise in the same manner that you expect them to compromise for you.
Of course.
To be able to compromise. Some people will think, okay, the hobby is boring, but you don't go and say, okay, I think your hobby is boring.
Of course.
Say, tell me more. Show me what is interesting about this, because I've never actually been interested in that kind of thing. So you take initiative and effort to learn about it so that you know how to support your partner.
I love
You're not
that.
going to be able to support anyone if you don't understand what it is that they do.
True.
And why they do it.
Yeah. All right, Apiwe, where can we find you on social media before we wrap up this conversation?
On all socials, I'm Apiwe Chele.
All right.
Across all platforms.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us and helping us in this conversation. I think it's a very interesting dynamic, especially because we're seeing more and more people showing an avid interest in being sporty as a hobby. That's Apiwe Chele, who's a relationship coach. How do you navigate the dynamic of a non-sporty or a sporty partner? Let us know on +27 63 406 9126. But right now, speaking about sporty partners, let's get our latest sports news with Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. Perspective.
And in this sporty parting ways, we are now telling you about this in Tokyo. Busang Kolen Kinbina Tsipi threw down the gauntlet and a world lead of 43.61 to qualify tops for the men's 400-meter final at the World Athletics Championships Tokyo 2025 on the 16th of September. The unsung 21-year-old from Botswana emerged from a strong group including Jeremy Richards and Jacori Pedersen, who advanced on the strength of their times. The previous world leader, Zagiti Nene of South Africa, won his heat in 44.20 to progress. Paris 2024 silver medalist Matthew Hudson-Smith crashed out with an 18th fastest time overall. Olympic champion Quincy Hall is not part of the competition because of a hamstring injury. Colin Kibina Tsipi recorded a personal best by some measure, but he's not stopping at that. The top two from each of the three semi-final heats plus the two fastest times qualified for the final. Nigeria forward Ademola Lookman is said to be excluded from Atalanta's squad for the opening Champions League fixture of the season against Paris Saint-Germain. Atalanta take on Paris Saint-Germain at the Parc des Princes today. The reigning African Footballer of the Year recently returned to first-team training after being banned for his attempt to force a move to Inter Milan during the summer. New Atalanta manager Ivan Juric has cast doubts over the future of with the Serie A club ahead of the clash against PSG today. Lookman featured for Nigeria during the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and South Africa, but has yet to make an appearance for his Italian side since May. Proteas batters Tasmin Brets and Marizan Gap struck unbeaten centuries in a record third wicket partnership to help the Proteas women beat Pakistan by 8 wickets in the first of 3 ODIs in Lahore. With preparations for the Women's World Cup in the final stages, the Proteas chased down a target of 256 with 8 balls to spare as Brets finished on 101 not out and Cap unbeaten on 121. Cap says the conditions were tough.
Look, I struggled that over just before my century, so I was a bit frustrated. But no, today was extremely tough. The conditions was not easy. When I was on about 20 runs, I thought, how am I going to do this? So it was just extremely tough out there today.
And in rugby news, Argentina have been handed a significant boost ahead of the Rugby Championship clash with the Springboks in Durban. Fly half Thomas Albornoz has been cleared to play and rejoins the Los Pumas squad after missing the recent doubleheader against the Wallabies. The 27-year-old had dislocated a finger during Argentina's thrilling victory over the All Blacks in Buenos Aires last month. With Albornoz back in contention, Nicolas Roja has been dropped from the squad, though it remains uncertain whether coach Felipe Contepomi will immediately restore him to the starting 15. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Fikile Lingwati. Let's keep things moving with our latest in business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Good morning. In your business news this hour, South Africa's Energy Minister Hossein Zoramakgopa has told Parliament that he will soon announce his department's plan to address the surging electricity tariffs. The National Energy Regulator of South Africa is responsible for determining Eskom's electricity tariffs. Ramakgopa says the increase in the cost of electricity is too high.
And I'm on record having admitted that the cost of electricity is prohibitively high. It undermines the competitiveness of the economy and it erodes the disposable income of households. I'll come back to the portfolio committee and also to the country to announce the measures that we are going to take to address the runaway cost of electricity. Thank you very much, House Chair.
The South African government has chosen 11 private companies to assist Transnet to transport freight by rail. Transport Minister Barbara Creecy revealed this when she answered questions in the National Assembly yesterday. However, she says the companies still have to go through regulatory screening. She says the company's support will increase the bulk of Transnet's freight transportation by almost 20 million tons annually.
We are extremely pleased that Transnet has managed to accept 11 private companies to assist us in moving freight on the network. And let me say that should these companies manage to pass the regulatory processes, they will in due course increase the amount of tonnage that we are able to transport on the network by almost 20 million tons of freight per annum.
Zambian farmers have filed an $80 billion lawsuit against two Chinese-linked firms. The farmers blame the firms for an ecological catastrophe caused by the collapse of a dam that stored waste from copper mining. Millions of liters of highly acidic material spilled into waterways in February, leading to mass fatalities among fish, making water undrinkable and destroying crops. Now, this is one of the biggest environmental lawsuits in Zambia's history, with the farmers saying the spillage affects about 300,000 households in the copper mining region. The U.S. Embassy issued a health alert in August, raising concerns of widespread contamination of water and soil in the area. U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed his administration has reached a deal with China to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. The president's claim comes amid uncertainty over what shape the final agreement will take, with suggestions from the Chinese side that Beijing would retain control of the algorithm that powers the site's video feed. Trump says they have a group of big companies that want to buy it. The deal negotiated in Madrid between U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Chinese Vice President reportedly see the social media platform transfer its U.S. assets to new U.S. owners from China's ByteDance. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 501. In Botswana is 13 pula 19. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33. And in Zambia is 23 kwacha 87. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 35. Russia is 83 rubles 89. India is 88 rupees 27. China is 7 yuan 12, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 35. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,681 and platinum at $1,391 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $68.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nusipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at AUSISA on social media. AUSISA, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa Tawo on the move.
Any money where I get, I dey flex, I dey ball, I dey vest, I dey shop, Patek, she see fly ball in the jet. My baby, my pet, she na pussycat. See back, see the yansh, free pass, maybe that. She go wine and well when she see the cash. Cash, 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 go, go, cash, cash. She go wine and well when she see the cash.
any money where I get it, I flex it. Come up to Pearl, my Pearl jet.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Yeah, well. Yeah, well. Yeah, well. Yeah, well. Kumba, 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 kumba. Yeah, well. Kumba, kumba, kumba. Yeah, well. Kumba, 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 kumba. 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 Ebatinas, funale malis, funale caches, funale stash. As funa mamita, as funa mabita, as funa makumba. Sonke, as funa makumba. Iyawele. Ebatinas, funale malis, funale caches, funale stash. As funa mamita, as funa mabita, as funa makumba. Sonke, as funa makumba. Iyawele. Funale malis, funale caches, funale stash. As funa mamita, as funa mabita, as funa makumba. Sonke, as funa makumba. Iyawele. Ebatinas, funale malis, funale caches, funale stash. As funa mamita, as funa mabita, as funa makumba. Sonke, as funa makumba. Iyawele. Makumba, kumba, kumba, kumba. 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 Iyawele. Makumba, kumba, kumba.
Hey, that's one that Ben and I have danced to, even though it wasn't really that amazing. Ben and I aren't the best of dancers, but we try. Go and check out that Magumba challenge that we did together on our TikTok at Channel Africa 1. That is Carrier featuring PKMZ and Keita Magumba. And before that, we gave you Batek featuring Mr. Easy, as well as DJ Tariko and Joey B. It's 9:48 Central Africa time. We're chatting about being the non-sporty partner with your sporty partner, or even vice versa, just being in that relationship dynamic when one of you is sporty and the other one isn't. There can be a lot that goes into play there, especially when you have to like always be the supportive partner. But sometimes you might feel like, does this person actually ever support my interests? That's also another big thing, right? Because sports takes up a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of traveling, and a lot of things that go on in a sporty partner's schedule. But it doesn't make the interest of the other partner any less important. Maybe the other partner likes to garden, right? It's not a sport, but maybe I'd love to see you wake up early with me in the garden every now and then, instead of me always coming to, the marathon to come and watch you run, or maybe you're always just not there to do my gardening thing. So yeah, there's a lot of dynamics there, but you let us know what you think about that one. And if you are in this kind of dynamic, which side are you on? Are you the non-sporty or the sporty partner? How are you guys navigating this dynamic? It's 9:50 Central Africa time. At Channel Africa 1 is where we can hear you, what you have to say. +27 63 406 9126.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GPV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GPV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Keep on the ball.
Yes, yes.
It's the kids, baby.
Napenda kuhesabu namba, 1, 2, 3. Napenda kuhesabu namba, 1, 2, 3. Kinamba namba, 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 kinamba namba.
Namba moja, namba mbili, namba tatu, namba nne, namba tano, namba sita, namba saba, namba nane, namba moja, namba mbili, namba tatu, namba nne, namba tano, namba sita, namba saba, namba nane. Kama utani mtoto kanambia mambo, kama utani mtoto kasogea kando, kama utani mtoto katoa na password, kama utani mtoto kanipea namba, kinamba 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 namba. Namba moja, namba mbili, namba tatu, namba nne, namba tano, namba sita, namba saba, namba nane, namba moja, namba mbili, namba tatu, namba nne, namba tano, namba sita, namba saba, namba nane.
Hey, this is Bill Nas. Kinamba Namba is the name of this jam. 9:54 Central Africa time. Where do you stand in this conversation? A sporty, non-sporty partner, but in general when it comes to hobbies, right? And I think that's the conversation we're having. Hobbies have become increasingly important, especially because it's important for you guys not to be like the end all and be all of each other's lives, right? So you do need things that are separate from each other, that make your own lives whole, because the other half of that is a conversation for another day, but it also brings in its own challenges. If you guys don't have your own interests and you're just solely focusing on each other all the time and it's sort of all consuming, that relationship dynamic isn't particularly healthy, right? So it is healthy for you guys to have your own lifestyle choices, your own hobbies, your own interests, but it's also important that those hobbies and interests continue to bring in joy in your lives individually, but also in your lives together. So when you have the one partner whose interests, being that sport at that particular time, has become all consuming, and you're starting to feeling like this person doesn't actually have any time for me, and I don't feel like our relationship is still a priority to them, and their only priority is the sport itself, maybe then it's time for a little bit of a conversation like we heard from our relationship coach Apiwe Chele before in a bit. So yeah, let us know what you think about that one, and we'll go into that one. Another conversation though that's coming up in the next hour is one that's gotten me a little bit worried. In fact, that's one is for our final hour. It is these adoptogens that people are taking. One that I've heard, taking place quite a lot, and think it's become ever so popular. It's been popping up a lot on my own social media, is ashwagandha. And at first I'm like, what is this ashwagandha? What's going on over there? Why is everyone taking this ashwagandha? It is an over-the-counter sort of medicine that you can take, and it's a stress reliever. But some people are saying that it's leaving them feeling a little emotionless. So like, yeah, the stress is gone, but I actually don't care about anything else anymore. And maybe that is a little bit of a problem. Are these adoptogens completely healthy for us? Are they good for us? And is this a healthy way of stress relief? Can we find other ways around it? We'll find a little bit more about these adoptogens in the final hour of today's show. So stay with us. This is On The Move. We are streaming live on YouTube at Channel Africa 1 and on Facebook, simply Channel Africa.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Early mama on your phone, I they call, baby. 247, it be you, I they want, baby. While I know yawa for you, baby. Chai pack well and balance well for me. Baby, baby, oh baby. Baby, baby. Baby, baby, oh baby. Baby, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh baby. Baby, baby, oh baby. Chai back well and balance well for me.
I want you to pull me closer, baby. You miss you, I can't lie. We don't build love where distance no fit corrupt. No yawa, oh, baby, tell me no yawa, oh. Back well and balance well for me.
Yeah, I know say things no balance, but you don't try for me. Yeah, yeah, and
I go give you joy cause I know strong man go there for me.
Yeah, good for you. No go give you story. Who wanna give you story now? So back when I'm balance well for me.
Yeah. Baby,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
baby,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
baby, baby, oh baby, 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 yeah, 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 oh baby, 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 oh baby.
Oh, back when I'm balance well for me.
Hey, that is Davido featuring Tiwa Savage and Burna Boy Baby, wrapping up the first hour of On The Move right here on Channel Africa. It's the top of the hour, that's 10 a.m. Central Africa time. Once again, let's get our latest news update with Jolane Tulongwebe.
SABC News, independent and impartial.
From an African perspective.
Top stories: Sabah, Chad's parliament changes presidential term limits, and a report of South Africa's government of national unity. Good morning. Chad's National Assembly has endorsed constitutional revisions that would extend the presidential term limit from 5 to 7 years and allow the president to serve an unlimited number of times. President Mohamed Idris Deby seized power in Chad after his father, a long-time serving President Idris Deby, was killed as he was visiting troops fighting militias in the north of the country in 2021. Associate Professor at Stellenbosch University and Royal Danish Defence College, Professor Thomas Madru, says opposition checks and balances don't exist in that country.
Basically, that it doesn't exist, and again, that the whole, introduction of a vice president as well is also highly problematic. It's typically something we see in other African countries as well, where you can balance ethnic divisions by giving ethnic groups certain kind of influence, by introducing this kind of deputy role, and which of course means that again the governing party can control the political space, and parliament is basically, as I said before, a rubber stamp, and they have just accepted this.
The Harare-based policy research organisation, the Civio Institute, says South Africa's government of national unity has made little progress in fulfilling promises made over a year ago. The Civio Institute and Social and Economic Justice Network, ACT Ubumbano, have released their 2025 South Africa Barometer report assessing the government of national unity's first year in office. The report finds that out of 121 promises tracked, only 26 have commenced with just 9% progress, and none have been fully implemented. Civio Institute country researcher Yologazi Mfuto says tension with the GNU trickled down into basic service delivery.
Challenges that we've encountered: there's very limited actions beyond the digital reforms. There's a weak state capacity, and also there's factionalism within GNU. We find out the minister reports one thing, the deputy minister reports on the next, and sometimes we don't know which one to take into account. And then this results to poor service delivery.
South Africa's Umkhonto Sizwe Party has expressed concern over the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that has just kicked off in Pretoria. The MK Party has questioned the timing of the commission's commencement, saying that it is suspect given the court case that the party filed to decide on the party's validity. The commission will look into the criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. The MK Party is said to challenge the legality of the commission in the High Court in Pretoria tomorrow. The party's spokesperson is Nhlamulo Ndlela.
When it comes to the Madlanga Commission, General Mkhwanazi made allegations that the judiciary, and specifically judges, were complicit and effectively participating in all of these criminal activities. And we're saying that, why do you then form a judicial commission of inquiry when you know very well that the same judiciary and judges are in effect potentially complicit or could be implicated in all these matters? How do we know that even Madlanga himself is not investigating himself? So the mere fact that they go and make a decision to start it the day before is really eyebrow raising.
Senegalese authorities have intercepted 112 migrants aboard a long wooden fishing boat off the coast of Dakar. They were attempting to reach Europe via a perilous Atlantic Ocean route yesterday. Mayor of Dakar's Okam district, Abdul Aziz Gouye, says local fishermen alerted authorities to a drifting wooden boat that lacked an engine. An investigation is underway to determine the origins of the vessel and the circumstances surrounding its lack of engine. The chief suspect in the notorious disappearance of the British toddler Madeleine McCann is due to be released from prison in Germany. Christian Bruckner has been serving a sentence for rape which runs out today but has not been charged over Madeleine's disappearance. The BBC's Jessica Parker has the story.
The 48-year-old is finishing a jail term for raping an elderly woman in Praia da Luz in Portugal in 2005. It was in 2007 that the British toddler Madeleine McCann disappeared from her family's holiday apartment, also in Praia da Luz. Bruckner's release is a blow to German prosecutors who've conceded they don't currently have sufficient evidence to bring charges against him in the McCann case. The German national, whose list of past convictions includes child sex offences, has denied any involvement.
Recapping the top story, the Chad's National Assembly has endorsed constitutional revisions that would extend the presidential term from 5 to 7 years and allow the president to serve an unlimited number of times. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News, independent and impartial.
From an African perspective.
We're in the second hour. This is On the Move. You're tuned into Channel Africa, where you can get that African perspective. In this hour of the show, we're speaking about a book called Making a Life. And I get it, right? It's hard to make a life in many situations, especially on the African continent, because a lot of us are in poverty-stricken, disadvantaged, places in our lives and backgrounds. Dr. Hannah Dawson explores the dynamic everyday life-making strategies of young men in a place called Zandspruit here in South Africa. And we're going to be finding out a little bit about this book that questions the increasingly prevalent perspective that also might romanticize adaptive survival strategies, and these are the adaptive survival strategies of the urban poor. So we're finding out a little bit about this from the author themselves, Dr. Hannah Dawson, who's going to be joining us on the line in this hour of the show. Well, don't forget that in the next hour we'll also be speaking about adoptogens in the Live Well feature. If you don't know what that are, you have to stay tuned to the show to find out exactly what those adoptogens are. Stay with us. This is On the Move. I am riding solo today, but you are doing a great job at keeping me company. Join our live stream on Facebook or on YouTube. We'd definitely love to have you there. Let me know where you're tuned in from, anywhere in the world, anywhere on the African continent or in the diaspora. And of course, comment in the comment section to let us know what you think about the conversations of the day. It's 7 minutes past 10 Central Africa time. We're going to the second hour of On the Move.
This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika ndiye ndoto yake.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our cultures and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Don't you bring it on my way?
Hold me around my waist. You can take it slow, baby. Control the pace. Way I rotate, baby, that's a little taste. Way I rotate, I'ma put you in your place.
Bad girl, no delay.
Baby, let's shake. I don't wanna stop, baby. I don't need a break. Put a rotate, you know I don't wanna wait. We can go late, make my body celebrate. I just wanna back it up on beat. Say your name in key. I know what I want from you. You know what you want from me. I just wanna back it up on beat. Say your name in key. I've been waiting on it all week. So tell me where you wanted me to be. Yeah.
Freeze at your back, the way I like it, can't deny. Your body bang like dynamite. You the feel I'm your kind of nice.
See me, eye to eye, we go back to back, we go 9 to 9. Body on it, dynamite. Take you to my posy, we can finalize.
Backstroke on it, swimming in the kitchen till the bus. Do everything to me, but baby, don't stop.
So fitting, this song actually. It's titled Dynamite by two African dynamites, Tyler and Wizkid. It's 10 past 10 Central Africa time. Speaking about a book titled Making a Life after this.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Binal Export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
There is a lot going on the African continent, and there's a lot going on in South Africa. In fact, our challenges here in South Africa aren't unique in the African continent at all. High youth unemployment rates are, really crippling the economy and crippling the young people of South Africa. Over and above that, the economy and just the overall standard of living has become lower. People can't afford even some loaf of bread. So what happens to the young people in those circumstances? How are they navigating their way through these various circumstances in their life? We're finding out a little bit about this from the perspective that explores the dynamic everyday life-making strategies of young men in a place called Zandspruit here in South Africa. This is a book by author Dr. Hannah Dawson that's titled Making a Life that questions the increasingly prevalent perspective that romanticizes the adaptive survival strategies of the urban poor by exploring the intricate connections between those with and those without wages. Dr. Hannah Dawson joins us on the line. Dr. Dawson, thank you so much for your time this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Palesa. Thanks very much for having me.
These are not unique challenges to the young men in Zandspruit at all. A lot is happening on the African continent, but rarely do we find a place to really speak about what goes on in the lives of young people, especially young men who are going through the challenges that we're facing in this country. Speak to us a little bit about why you decided that you were going to go into Zandspruit to find out how these young men are making lives for themselves.
Yeah, so, this book is really the product of a long journey. I first began doing research in Zandspruit back in 2011, and the original impetus for the research actually was a string of political protests that were happening in Zandspruit. And at the time, a lot of the media discourse was, linking this protest activity to high levels of unemployment and, the disgruntlement of young people. And in spending time in this community and especially getting to know those who've been very active in the protests, I began to realize that actually one couldn't make such a clear connection, and began to ask a series of questions around, what actually shapes young people, and in particular young men's economic lives. So how are they making choices to opt in or out of often the available jobs in a place like Zandspruit are few, first of all, but often very low-end, low-paying jobs. And then in the reality that most people in Zandspruit don't have at least a stable wage job, what are the other strategies young people in particular are using to get by? And so this became a kind of 10-year-long project of trying to understand much more closely how the local economy works, what matters to young people in terms of their economic choices, but their lives more broadly. And that's why the focus of the book is on what I call life making, or the strategies young men do to make a life. Because so much of the conversation about unemployment in South Africa is about a job or the absence of a job.
Yeah.
And often that conversation misses out a lot about what actually is important to young people, but actually all of us when we're trying to make lives in whatever circumstances we find ourselves in.
Absolutely, because life continues whether or not you have a job, and life is happening nonetheless, even though it might not be in the ways that are particularly, in the forefront, especially when it comes to the economy here in South Africa. Well, tell us a little bit about who these young men are that you were able to engage in and find out how they're making these lives for themselves.
Yeah, so I mean, in the book, many of the men who are the kind of core interlocutors or participants of the wider project, and who are the key characters in the book, many of them were in their early 20s in 2010, 11, and 12. And now many of them are in their early to late 30s. So the book is also a story about, being a young person is not about being stuck in time. But as you said, life continues irrespective of if you acquire the job you want or life works out in the way in which you desire it to. But in the book, I do draw a contrast between young people to show how different life choices pan out over time. So some of the important distinctions in the book are between, someone that had finished matric or someone who didn't. That's an important distinguishing factor.
Yeah.
Someone that is between 18 and 23 and 24, they're often a little bit more optimistic about the kind of economic opportunities, especially in the formal sector, that might open up. Whereas someone who's been trying to, make a life and has often moved in and out of low-wage jobs in the formal sector, who's now 30 or 35, has a very different understanding about how actually they think they could best shape their own lives and where the more economic opportunities might arise. And then another important distinction in the book is also between, someone that grew up in Zandspruit or moved to Zandspruit as a child or a teenager, and much of Zandspruit's population is also migrants from other parts of the country and also other parts of the continent. And all of these factors shape not just who does what kind of jobs or who sees, a low-end job in construction or in private security as valuable or not, but it also shapes who can access the more lucrative or the more profitable opportunities in the local economy. So one of the things I'm drawing attention to in the book is a large part of the discussion often around the informal economy or the township economy. We talk a lot on, for example, those selling goods and foods on the side of the road. But in my book, I focus on particular spaces where men in particular, not only make money, but also are able to forge relationships and forms of meaning and connection outside of waged employment. So, one of the ones in the book that gets a lot of attention is a particular car wash stand. I also speak a lot about the local property rental market. So if someone has lived in the community a long time, you're much more likely to access rental income, but also have access to other economic opportunities that, if you just arrived last week from Zimbabwe or Limpopo province, you don't have the same connections and the same political kind of legitimacy to also engage with the local economy in the same way. And so part of the book is to show actually, if you finish school or not, or you went to university or not, these are not the only factors that shape what economic opportunities you have access to. In a place like Zandspruit, how long you've lived there, who you know or don't know, if you have property or not. These are actually these are very important factors that shape opportunities in a place like Zandspruit that we often don't pay that much attention to.
Yeah.
And that's part of what the book is trying to do, is to show how young people use the resources available to them to make what they see as the best opportunities. And sometimes that means not taking any job and rather carving out a life that involves.
Dr. Dawson, stay with us on the line. I'm really intrigued to find out what your findings were in how these young men of Zandspruit, are making a living for themselves, but also what that means for the rest of us, meaning, because there's a huge population of urban poor here in South Africa and all over the African continent. And I'm pretty sure that some of the things that you see here are things that exist in many other parts of our societies. It's 20 minutes past 10 Central Africa time. We're unpacking a really good book titled Making a Life, Young Men in Johannesburg's Urban Margins.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutuli bwanji ndi
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. On the move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday. Only on Channel Africa. #On the move.
This is incredibly intriguing because it speaks so much about our communities, the ones that we live in, some of us, the ones that we're from, and the ones that exist more than the communities, in fact, that we want to be a part of. This book is titled Making a Life, Young Men in Johannesburg Urban Margins, and we continue to find out more about this book with author Dr. Hannah Dawson. You went into these communities, you spoke to these young people, and you've seen the ways that they're really trying to engage with the economy in ways that I suppose the economy hasn't been kind to them in the mainstream ways. What did you find out about these young men of Zandspruit?
Yeah, so, so much. Maybe one of the ways to kind of condense some of what I do in the book is I learned over time that asking someone if they were employed or not was not a very helpful question, because sometimes someone had actually some kind of very casual, precarious job, but they didn't consider that job to be employment. It was just, a casual gig.
Or a piece job, as they call it.
A peace job, yeah. Although that language was sometimes used and sometimes other language was used. And other times, someone would say, no, I'm unemployed. But actually, they were hustling in a whole range of variety of ways. We're actually doing 4 or 5 had various different income strategies. And so I kind of moved away from asking this question around, if someone was in work or out of work, and rather trying to focus on how money moves. So how do young men acquire money, but also trying to understand the linkages between money as it moves through within a place like Zandspruit. So in particular, how do those who earn wages outside of the settlement in jobs, how does that money enter the local economy and then move through it? So, there's the obvious ways. Most people that earn money outside need to rent, they need to access food, they want to enjoy themselves at the local shebeen, etc., etc. But in the book, I really focus on, there's one chapter where I talk about hustling strategies and something I call brokering. And hustling is trying to capture many what we might call informal economic strategies that young men, or economic activities young men are involved in.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, in the book, I really focus on this one car wash stand because it illustrates very clearly how money moves. So, those who earn wages outside normally are getting to work via the taxi industry. And so And then the taxi bosses distribute income to the taxi drivers, and some of that money then gets distributed to those that run the car washes, and that money circulates even further. And often a car wash stand, even myself, I always thought of it as that's one business. But the more time I spent at a few car wash stands in Zanzibar, I realized this was rather a hub for a variety of economic activities. This was, everything from, mashonisas to the drug trade was, embedded in these same social connections. And in the book, I also focus on a number of youth-led NGOs, which often I think don't get the attention they need to, that young people are often in communities like Zanzibar involved in lots of important community work that are tapped into bigger NGOs, wider projects, or sometimes into political structures. And that these local youth-run NGOs not only provide an important space, often that young people feel is safe, a space to spend time, to build connections, to also, they use these connections to kind of, improve their CVs and this kind of thing. But these local run NGOs also become an important source of accessing resources, either through political parties or through bigger NGOs that are wanting to do work in local communities but don't have the local leverage. And as you said in your introduction, what's happening in Zanzibar is happening in many other parts of the continent. And I've just finished reading a book on called Hustle Urbanism in Nairobi. And really this book in Nairobi shows, it also focuses a lot on youth-run NGOs and how young people in neighborhoods like Zanzibar in Nairobi have collectively organized to basically run a whole range of services that in South Africa we would think of as the responsibility of local government. So waste collection services, sanitation services. So this is again another lens on which young people are often actually filling in the gaps in offering all kinds of services, which not only are often of value to the community more widely, but they also provide young people with something valuable to do and access to some resources. Of course, not the kinds of resources young people want. But nonetheless, these become very important sources of social connection, money, meaning, and connection.
So, what does this tell us about urban inequality, or maybe even, urban living for many of us? Because, as we keep saying, this might be a little bit of, a community in Zanzibar, but this happens. I mean, as you're speaking, you're telling me about something that I know from where I'm from. It's the exact same thing. And I know in many other communities of people that I've spoken to. So many communities exist in this way. And young people have sort of given up on the formal job economy, which creates a place in our townships to really find ways to thrive, to live, and to keep growing in some way or another. How does this, what does this tell us, in fact, about South Africa? What does it tell us about the African continent? And what does it tell us about young people in these economic times?
Yeah, I mean, I think many things. I mean, on the one hand, I think it points, what I'm attending to in trying to make more visible is what those really on the edges of, we might say, our society, or the edges of the economy. So those that are seen to be excluded, and in one sense are excluded given the high levels of inequality we see in South Africa, but also in many other parts of the continent. And yet at the same time, what I'm trying to highlight in the book is actually what young people in a place like Zanzibar are able to do, despite being on the margins or on the edges. That doesn't mean we I think some questions coming out of this book are, what does it mean to radically rethink the kind of inequalities that we have? But this book is rather to take a close eye to spaces and places that we often also think of as being, we blanket, there's often, if you look at in Zanzibar, if you look up the headlines that describe Zanzibar, it's often, these blanket statements. This is a place of deprivation. This is a place of violence. This is a place of criminality. And actually completely overlooks the kind of dynamism of economic activity, the ways in which people are collectively organizing in a society in which the state is increasingly absent. But also we think of often, policymakers often think of people in a place like Zanzibar as equally poor.
Yeah.
And so one component of the conversation that my book contributes to is that just because you live in an informal settlement doesn't mean everyone is equally poor. And so I'm also highlighting in the book important inequalities even within a place like Zanzibar. And the big distinction I draw on is the one between those who, even if it's not property with a title deed attached, but the simple distinction between if you pay rent or not is actually very important to understand how, for example, the labor market dynamics of who's willing to work for a piece job or not is not actually about personal motivation. It's much more about your position within the local economy.
Right.
And I think sometimes we've also misunderstood some of these dynamics in trying to, when we hear a lot of public commentary about, who is seen to be more or less hardworking or more or less willing to do certain types of jobs. I think we're not really understanding the economy in its entirety.
Yeah.
And that's, again, what I'm trying to draw attention to in this book, that the economy is not just the formal economy or those in waged employment. We need to think about, again, the economy in a much broader sense to understand what people do and why. And of course, in understanding the wider inequalities, which, remain pervasive,
of course,
in a place like South Africa.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. Really intriguing conversation and, great study indeed that you looked at here, Dr. Dawson. I'm looking forward to actually reading this book and finding out about the young people of South Africa, the young people of the African continent as well, and how resilient, in fact, they are, which is something that I also see as a really big point in this particular study and book. Thank you so much for your time. Where can we find the book?
It's in, all bookstores in South Africa, but you can also buy it online on Amazon even. So if you Google it, you'll find it, basically.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's Dr. Hannah Dawson, anthropologist and author of the book Making a Life, Young Men in Johannesburg Urban Margins. It's 10:31 Central Africa time. Once again, let's bring back File Lengwadi for our latest in sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
That saw the side make history by reaching the quarterfinals for the very first time. Captain Nolusindiso Boy said the team achieved what they set out to do and believes they have laid a solid platform for greater success in years to come. Their growth has been remarkable and is testament to hard work and professional structures put in place. Led by veteran lock forward Boy, the team ensured that New Zealand would have to work to beat them and reach the semi-finals.
I felt like the team was ready and was well prepared in a way, and we knew exactly what we wanted to achieve when we get there, and we did achieve what we wanted to achieve in a way that we played against New Zealand, and the first half was that 10-10, and it was something that we were wishing to beat them as well, but then things didn't go to our way. Hopefully that the women's rugby will still grow and be better next time for sure. The team that is going to go there will achieve something that is better than what we achieve now.
Boklok Daniel Lochner says getting younger players involved in rugby will ensure this World Cup performance is just the start.
We now know what we are capable of, so I think it's just building off of that, getting more game time, bringing in youngsters, letting them have a go as well. So I think as long as we can have those building blocks in places, we can have a go forward in the future, and we can definitely have better results going from this World Cup.
And Botswana's Busang Kolen Kibina Tsipi threw down the gauntlet and a world lead of 43.61 to qualify tops for the men's 400-meter final at the World Athletics Championships Tokyo 2025 on the 16th of September. That's today. The unsung 21-year-old from Botswana emerged from a strong group including Jeremy Richards and Jekori Pedersen, who advanced on the strength of their times. The previous world leader Zagiti Nene of South Africa won his heat in 44.20 to progress. Paris 2024 silver medalist Matthew Hudson-Smith crashed out with an 18th fastest time overall. Olympic champion Quincy Hall is not part of the competition because of a hamstring injury. Now, Rugby news: Argentina have been handed a significant boost ahead of their rugby championship clash with the Springboks in Durban. Fly half Thomas Albornoz has been cleared to play and rejoins the Los Pumas squad after missing the recent doubleheader against the Wallabies. 27-year-old had dislocated a finger during Argentina's thrilling victory over the All Blacks in Buenos Aires last month. With Albornoz back in contention, Nicolas Roger has been dropped from the squad, though it remains uncertain whether coach Felipe Contepomi will immediately restore him to the starting 15. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Let's bring back Nosipho Zuma for our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Good morning. In your business news this hour, rising debt levels are pushing many African governments into austerity measures with serious consequences for basic human rights, including healthcare, education, and social protection. Now, this is according to Principal Managing Partner at Tsunga Bamulo International in South Africa, Arnold Tsunga.
Austerity measures at a global level in terms of support for human rights work has really gone down, and it was aggravated by President Trump's decision to disband USAID. But what we were saying and the proposition we are making at this conference is that it is time that African civil society actors, human rights activists, pro-democracy activists stop outsourcing their struggles to donors.
South Africa's Energy Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has told Parliament that he will soon announce his department's plan to address the surging electricity tariffs. The National Energy Regulator of South Africa is responsible for determining Eskom's electricity tariffs. Ramokgopa says the increase in the cost of electricity is too high.
And I'm on record having admitted that the cost of electricity is prohibitively high. It undermines the competitiveness of the economy, and it erodes the disposable income of households. I'll come back to the portfolio committee and also to the country to announce the measures that we are going to take to address the runaway cost of electricity. Thank you very much, House Chair.
The South African government has chosen 11 private companies to assist Transnet to transport freight by rail. Transport Minister Barbara Creecy revealed this when she answered questions in the National Assembly yesterday. However, she says the companies still have to go through regulatory screening. She says the company's support will increase the bulk of Transnet's freight transportation by almost 20 million tons annually.
We are extremely pleased that Transnet has managed to accept 11 private companies to assist us in moving freight on the network. And let me say that should these companies manage to pass the regulatory processes, they will in due course increase the amount of tonnage that we are able to transport on the network by almost 20 million tons of freight per annum.
And finally, U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed his administration has reached a deal with China to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. The president's claim comes amid uncertainty over what shape the final agreement will take, with suggestions from the Chinese side that Beijing would retain control of the algorithm that powers the site video feed. Trump says they have a group of big companies that want to buy it. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 501. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 13. Kenya is trading at 128 shilling 33, and in Zambia it's 23 kwacha 87. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 35. Russia is 83 rubles 89. India is 88 rupees 27, China at 7 yuan 12, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 35. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,681 and platinum at $1,391 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $68.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Suma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa. The African perspective. The rhythm of Africa. The pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa. The African perspective. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Look at me, dada. As my dreadlocks are longer, I know say right now my time, I no go waste them rara. I go use them dada. I go use them dada. Innocent in a bastard. How they see bam jeje. So if I do you wrong, I apologize. For the people who they sympathize, I gotta go make them larger. Full of snakes and spiders. Make a wrong move, lose your life, make it hard for your mother to sleep at night. Street no love you right. Some people they for mortuary. Some people they for hospital. Count your blessing one by one. Sure bet yeah, time has come to lift our voices. Lift my voice in prayer.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Time records. Yeah, my baby, that's where I go. But she not coming quick. And now, baby, I'm in Jerry, so you must say, how can you say? Pulling for me, slow down. Mississippi, I'm here. Hey, pulling for me, slow down. Me can't see I am here. And pulling for me, slow down. Mississippi, I'm here. Hey, pulling for me, slow down. Me can't see I am here.
loving, but when the morning comes, we not have nothing. A boyfriend who can buy you food when you're hungry. Is that one too? A boy so I can't get move fast, switch up the lanes. I got myself a sponsor. Let's see if I pay him again. Yeah, I'm a baby. Next word run and draw, brush and I come in quan. I doubt I'm in chain, so you must say my kind of side. Pull it for me, slow down. This is the ambient. Yeah, pull it for me, slow down. Make what I am here. And pull it for me, slow down. This is the ambient. Yeah, pull it for me, slow down. Make what I am here. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. These broke guys have lots of energy. Should I leave all this Gucci Prada? Now which young girl don't fear hunger? Dilemma, I'm in dilemma. Bad girl bunny in dilemma. Balewa, or Galewa. Open chair, maybe when you're in five. Let's see what pay I'm a young BBA. Oh my BBA. That's what run I drown. But she not coming quan. I doubt I'm in jail. So you must have my own kind of style. Pull it for me, slow down. This is the ambient. Yeah, pull it for me, slow down. Make what I am here. And pull it for me, slow down. This is the ambient. Yeah, pull it for me, slow down. Make what I am here. Oh yeah, mercy, mercy, mercy. These broke guys have lots of energy. Bounce to the beat, diamond. Everybody make it bounce to the beat. Body can let's bounce to the beat. Everybody make it bounce to the beat. Yeah, man. Bounce to the beat. Everybody make it bounce to the beat. Body can let's bounce to the beat. Everybody make it bounce to the beat. Pull it for me, slow down. This is the ambient. Yeah, pull it for me, slow down. Make what I am here. And pull it for me, slow down. This is the ambient. Yeah, pull it for me.
All right, this is Ebony with Sponsor. Before that, gave you Burn a Boy with Higher. In the first hour of the show, we're speaking about being with a sporty partner if you are non-sporty, or the other way around, right? Just having that relationship dynamic where one of you is either a runner, a gym buddy, you know what I mean, a bodybuilder, a hiker. It could be any sport, a paddle player, you name it, right? It's very consuming. It takes up a lot of time, a lot of energy. And the other partner maybe has their own interests that have nothing to do with sports. Maybe you like to garden, or maybe you like pottery, maybe you like to paint, but hey, it's going to be a clash somewhere. And I hear some people say it's an absolute deal breaker, that you absolutely cannot be a sporty person and date a non-sporty person. I don't know if it's quite a deal breaker for me, but you let me know if it is for you. But in relation to that, a lot of people have been posting actually about what it's like to be married or in a relationship with someone who's a runner. And running has become so popular. Everyone is in a running group or sorts. And one day you're doing 4 or 5 kilometers, and the next time you're doing 21 kilometers and a marathon. So runners do take this quite seriously. Let's hear what the lives of people who are married or in relationships with runners are like.
Babe,
don't forget that we're having lunch with my parents.
Yeah, I'm just going around the block. I'll be back soon.
Just say a little prayer, get your money, man. Life goes on.
So it turns out Sam went for a 2-hour-long run. He missed the lunch with the parents. He claimed he got lost, and his wife is still angry. That's how it is like to have a life with a runner. There are others who've also gave us their opinions on what it's like to marry a runner. And this one, it's the other way around. It's a guy who, one of those things, because runners wake up so early in the morning. I don't know why you're up at 3 a.m. I don't know why you're up at 4 a.m. because it's always better to cuddle. Listen to this one.
Alexander, come back to sleep.
I have an early meeting out of town.
It's still dark outside.
I know. I just need to write something down.
Why do you write like you're running out of time? Come back to bed, that would be enough.
I'll be back before you know I'm gone.
Come back to sleep.
This meeting's
And I'm sure it's that part, right? Just come back to sleep, guys. You'll run tomorrow. It's 4 a.m. Why can't we cuddle at least until 10 a.m.? Then you can go out running. It's a tough life being in a relationship with someone who's a sporty person. But we want to know what your experiences are in this regard, or what your thoughts are. Do you think that sporty people should even try and be in relationships with non-sporty people? If you're also saying no, like some people, I'm judging you. Because why can't we just have different interests and still be in love? It's 10:50 Central Africa time. Catch up with us at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok and on our social media platforms.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
What if you went
Ben always judges me for really liking this song, and I do. It's so catchy. I really, really like you. This is Una Rams, I Like You. It's 10:54 Central Africa time. Yeah, man, some people have very controversial opinions when it comes to, liking someone who's sporty and you're not. But hey, to each their own. As long as the couple, the relationship itself is working out in a way that you guys have discussed. But also, in this hour of the show, we just spoke about a very intriguing book, right? Making a Life, Young Men in Johannesburg Urban Margins. And many a times, yes, we do speak about how young people are engaging with employment, but there's so much more happening than just employment in the communities, where sometimes employment doesn't seem like an option anymore. Some people have actually been, young people have been unemployed for so long that sometimes employment is not an option for them, and some have been in the surroundings where they see that unemployment is so rife that they go straight into an informal way of living. And I think I find that very interesting when it comes to this book, because I'm from one such community, and at home my house is a corner house. Next door, a corner house, just by a main road. So next door, there's a car wash. 4-5 houses away, there's another car wash. Another 3 houses away from that car wash is another car wash. And all of them thrive in their own way. I mean, the first car wash has a lot of business from taxi owners and taxi drivers. The next car wash actually has a lot of business from young people who own cars, or, maybe the township urban middle class. And the other car wash has those random people who just like, oh, my car is really dirty and I'm going somewhere important, so I'm going to pop into this car wash really quickly because it's by the corner and it's convenient. And all of these are part of an economy that's actually taking place with or without the employment figures of the country. Young people are also incredibly resilient. Young African people are incredibly resilient, and even because they see that essentially this life, their formalized way of life, is not made for them, and they've tried to go in there, and they've been pushed aside, and they've been come across a lot of barriers when it comes to that, and they say, well, I still have to eat, so how am I going to do that? And I know this particular book follows the journeys of young men in this particular instance, but even young women there, they come up with so many skills that they have. Some of them braid hair, some of them do nails, some of them do eyelashes, and some even do go and work at the car wash. So there's always a sort of a mixture of ways that people are trying to put bread on their table, and the bread is showing up to the table. That's not in the figures, the official figures that you would see in the employment or unemployment statistics. Very interesting one, this one. Let us know about your community, and I think that's what I want to know more so, because this book highlights just one particular community here in South Africa, the community of Zandspruit. But as I said, I can identify with that in so many communities. Where you are on the African continent, can you identify with the resilience of young people where you're from? What ways are they making a living, and what ways is life actually taking place on a daily basis? It's 10:58 Central Africa time. Still love to hear your thoughts. At Channel Africa 1, of course, is where you can find us on the live stream of YouTube, Channel Africa on our live stream Facebook, but give us your say as well on our X handle at Channel Africa 1, on our Instagram handle of the same handle, as well as our TikTok handle of the same handle as well. Let's take a short break before we leave into the second hour and third hour conversations.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Our fitness coach, her name is Yvonne Dimakazo Pasha. How to remain consistent with gyms, Dima, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now. As we are talking, I will send you my picture, and I want you to tell me what you think I should work on. Because, when I look at myself, Dima, I think I'm very handsome. I'm so good looking, oh my goodness. Like here at Channel Africa where I work, I think I'm one of the most good-looking people ever. Like sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I never get used to how good I look. I'm just amazing.
You're okay with the way you're looking. You wish people could and now you want to put me on the spot.
Do I need gym?
Yeah. I mean, if you can just consider eating healthy, cutting down a few foodstuffs such as junk.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
Keeping you on the know and on the move.
Time flies when you're having fun, and you've been doing a great job at keeping me company without Benjamin this morning. Let's go do it again in the third hour of the show, but before that, let's bring back Jolane Tulongwepe with our latest news.
SABC News, independent and impartial.
From an African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Top stories: the Sawa drastic changes to presidential term limits in Chad, and thousands of Palestinians flee the Gaza city. Good morning. Chad's National Assembly has endorsed constitutional revisions that would extend the presidential term from 5 to 7 years and allow the president to serve an unlimited number of times. President Mohamed Idris Deby seized power in Chad after his father, long-serving President Idris Deby, was killed as he was visiting troops fighting militias in the north of the country in 2021. Associate Professor at Stellenbosch University and Royal Danish Defence College, Professor Thomas Mandru, says opposition checks and balances don't exist in that country.
Basically, that it doesn't exist, and again, that the whole, introduction of a vice president as well is also highly problematic. It's typically something we see in other African countries as well, where you can balance, for instance, ethnic divisions by giving ethnic groups certain kind of influence, by introducing this kind of deputy role, and which of course means that again the governing party can control the political space. And Parliament is basically, as I said before, a rubber stamp, and they have just accepted this.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has started its public hearings in Pretoria, South Africa. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has started his testimony. Meanwhile, the Umkhonto weSizwe Party has questioned the timing of the Commission's commencement, saying it's suspect. This is in light of the party's case in the High Court in Pretoria tomorrow to decide on the Commission's legality. The Commission is looking into criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. The party spokesperson is Nhlamulo Ndlela.
When it comes to the Madlanga Commission, General Mkhwanazi made allegations that the judiciary, and specifically judges, were complicit and effectively participating in all of these criminal activities. And we're saying that, why do you then form a judicial commission of inquiry when you know very well that the same judiciary and judges are in effect potentially complicit or could be implicated in all these matters? How do we know that even Madlanga himself is not investigating himself? So the mere fact that they go and make a decision to start it the day before is really eyebrow-raising.
The Harare-based policy research organization, the Civio Institute, says South Africa's government of national unity has made little progress in fulfilling promises made over a year ago. The Civio Institute and Social and Economic Justice Network, ACT Ubumbano, have released the 2025 South Africa Barometer report assessing the government of national unity's first year in office. The report finds that out of 121 promises tracked, only 26 have commenced, with just 9% progress, and none have been fully implemented. Civio Institute country researcher Yologazi Mfuto says tension within the GNU trickled down into basic service delivery.
Challenges that we've encountered: there's very limited actions beyond the digital reforms. There's a weak state capacity, and also there's factionalism within GNU. We find out the minister reports one thing, the deputy minister reports on the next, and sometimes we don't know which one to take into account. And then this results to poor service delivery.
A Sudanese network of community groups says the Norwegian Human Rights Foundation gave its annual prize to the emergency response rooms. This for their courageous work to preserve the most fundamental human right, the right to life. 4 past laureates of the Rafto Prize, Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi, East Timor's Jose Ramos Horta, South Korea's Kim Dae-jung and Iran's Shirin Ebadi went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize. This year's Nobel Peace Prize will be announced on the 10th of October in Oslo. And finally, thousands more Palestinians are fleeing Gaza City as Israel continues to intensify its bombardment of the area. The Israeli Defense Forces say that it had begun the main phase of its ground offensive in Gaza City. It also says it will gradually boost its troops during the operations, which are expected to last several months. The BBC's Yolandi Nell reports.
To think again of leaving to unknown places in the south without a tent, without a place, without a clear destination. It's something so stressful to leave all my furniture, my apartment, and moving to unknown place without access to food. It's very hard.
Recapping the top story, the Sawa Chad's National Assembly has endorsed constitutional provisions that would extend the presidential term from 5 to 7 years and allow the president to serve an unlimited number of times. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Jolani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News, independent and impartial.
From an African perspective.
Big tune.
6 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. Thank you, Jolane Tulongwepe, for keeping us updated on the latest news. Around 11:30, we'll bring back Figile Lengwati and Nosipo Zuma, who'll also give us our latest sports and our latest business news. So thank you so much to our news team as a whole. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and we really appreciate you here on Channel Africa. I appreciate you as well, who's been part of the show for the past 3 hours, engaging me, listening, and of course really discussing these conversations, hopefully in your little corners as well, because the discussions don't end here. They're really about building a community, going back to your family, your friends, your partner, and engaging, because if we don't engage, we really do lose a lot here on the African continent. But we're moving on to the Live Well conversations here on The Move, and we're speaking about relieving stress. It's something that a lot of us, especially if you're an adult, you have to find a way to relieve stress, especially since there's been an increased report of stress levels since the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of people are trying various ways to try and relieve stress. The first hour conversation could speak to exactly that. Sports has been a great avenue for many people to relieve that stress and just, woosa and find ways outside, especially of work, thinking about, your life, thinking about kids, thinking about your house, thinking about your car, thinking about all the money that you need to make to sustain the life that you need. But there is one that's actually been quite on the rise. It's existed for a very long time, but apparently I've seen more and more young people going into this avenue of stress relief, and that is in taking stress relief medication known as adaptogens. One that I've been hearing about quite often, that's been making waves on social media, goes by the name of ashwagandha. But apparently there are so many more, and there's a lot of Eastern medicines like adaptogens that are coming full circle and rising in popularity. So we're going to be finding out about these adaptogens. If you're hearing about this term for the first time, then you should hear a close listen, especially if you've heard the terms like ashwagandha, but you've never heard of adaptogens. This one is also for you, but you're also just trying to find out, hey, how can I also be a part of the people who are relieving their stresses? Come in. This is On The Move, channelafrica.co.za, the SABC Plus app, and our audio bouquets DSTV 802 and OpenView 628 is how you can stay in touch.
Heritage Month is a time to remember where we come from and celebrate where we are going. Channel Africa. Catch us on DSTV channel 802.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
umthwalo wakhe. Umama wayevuka, evuke yosebenza, ezokwazi ukondla yena nengane zabo. Umsebenzi wena, umsebenzi wena, umsebenzi wena, umsebenzi wena, umsebenzi wena.
Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
It's 11 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. It's time for Live Well right here on the Move. Everyone is looking for a way to relieve their stress, especially since many people report an increase in their stress levels since the advent of the COVID pandemic. And we know, there's a lot of things. If you're an adult in this life, there's, your work, there's money that you need, there's, your family, there's your children and this and that and the other. We're all dealing with so much. But one growing but rather not new trend in stress relief involves taking something called adaptogens, and these are herbs or plants thought to neutralize the effects of stress on the body. And the claim is that these adaptogens reduce our body's reaction to stress and help us adapt to stressors better. But do they really? Well, we're getting the lowdown on these adaptogens this morning, especially because I've been seeing a lot of people speaking about one particular adaptogen known as ashwagandha. We're finding out a little bit more about these with Professor Ben Eric van Wyk, Professor of Indigenous Botany and Traditional African Medicine at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Professor van Wyk. How are you?
Good morning. No, I'm fine, thank you.
Well, a lot of people might not have heard the term adaptogen, might be a new term for many to hear, but maybe some of us have heard a little bit about these medicines. I've been quite intrigued by one that's been making waves even on social media known as ashwagandha, and I'm like, what is this ashwagandha? So maybe you can explain to us better, what are adaptogens?
Yes, the idea of adaptogens is actually of Russian origin. So in 1947, a Russian researcher tested some chemicals on animals, and he found that these chemicals improve the resistance of the animals to stresses like cold and heat and so on. And so the idea developed that an adaptogen is something that heats you up when you're too cold, or it reduces your tension if you are if you have a high anxiety and so on. In other words, it modifies the body to create harmony by upregulating or down-regulating depending on the need of that specific individual. So that's the adaptogen. People also have many other terms for these types of products. They often called tonics or rubberants, or there's a whole range of immune stimulants, you name it. But basically the idea of the adaptogen is this return to balance.
I see. And I mean, it's in the name, isn't it, to adapt? But there's so many other ways that we have been adapting as human beings before the rise of these adaptogens. We do say that it's not something new. Is it something that a lot of people have been using, perhaps without it being mainstream?
Yes, many of these things have a long history, ancient history. I mean, ashwagandha has been used in India for probably thousands of years.
Wow.
So it's not a new idea. Plants have been used all over the world. You have in every culture some of these adaptogens or tonics. And so what I think the only thing that is new is that it is now commercialized. So it's no longer used within the boundaries of tradition. It is now actually available as over-the-counter products. And therein also lies some sort of a danger, because there are many unscrupulous people who wants to make a quick buck and wants to make money out of this. And so one has to be careful what you buy, because not so much that it's dangerous, but because you can be misled by people who, create products that do not contain any active ingredients. And they do that because if there's no activity, then it's absolutely safe. But then, of course, and such people also give traditional medicine a bad name. If the product does not work, we know that almost any product will work if you believe it works. That is called the placebo effect.
Correct, yes.
If you don't believe in the medicine, it won't work for you. That's an old saying. And so part of the activity of these products is actually the placebo effect. And that placebo effect can be enhanced in various ways. For example, if you drink a tonic that has alcohol in it, the alcohol makes you feel somewhat better. And then you have the reaction of saying, it's working, because I'm feeling better. Or they add a little bit of laxative in it. So then you run to the toilet and you say, this medicine is working. Look, I can see something is happening here. And those are all the old tricks to make people believe in the medicine, believe in the healer, and therefore it is often then, quite effective, actually, even if there's not much in it.
So the one thing Professor, the one thing that's been really praised about these adaptogens that people are taking is what I hear them saying, it's natural. So is it really natural? I mean, people are going into the stores, the pharmacies, and getting these medications just over the counter, easily gettable. Are these natural ways of stress relief?
Yes, it should be, and it mostly is. So you have, it's often plant-based. It's practically only plant-based, and it often contains various well-known adaptogenic plants or plants with a history of use as adaptogens. So, for example, in the Zulu culture, you have the imbiza. Now the imbiza, it actually refers to the cooking pot, right? The imbiza is a cooking pot. So what people did former times, traditionally, is they put all sorts of mixtures of herbs that through the ages proved to be valuable. So the imbiza is actually a mixture, what we call a decoction. You boil the herbs in a pot and then you drink it. And by adding all these different plants together, you have different chemical compounds in the mixture. So the one chemical compound may reduce your stress levels. The other one may have an immune boosting effect. And the other one could be anti-inflammatory. And the other one could be slightly laxative. And the other one could have alkaloids or nitrogen compounds that make you feel better. So you can see it's a mixture. And so the adaptogenic plants, the traditional adaptogens, typically have a lot of different chemical compounds in one plant. So, for example, in the Sotho culture, you have the concept of musapelo. Musapelo is the herbs that are used to reduce stress and to reduce bereavement. It's typically given to people who have lost a relative.
I see.
And so those plants reduce stress. And the way it is doing it, because most of these plants are legumes, pea flower plants, and they have alkaloids. And those alkaloids work on the mind, typically. And so it makes you feel better.
All right,
and
Professor.
It reduces
we need to take a short break. I think this is really interesting, especially because you're making the connection outside of the pharmacy, outside of the convenience store, back into, our own context as African people, that these things have always existed. Like you've mentioned Imbiza by the Zulu people and Musapilo by the Sotho or Setswana people. And I'm sure, as you've spoken, ashwagandha with the native Indians and many other parts of the world that have been using adaptogens for history. But I want to also bring it into today's context and look at those over-the-counter things and whether or not, we actually do know how to deal with stress outside of using these adaptogens. I think is also really important. So stay with us on the line. We're speaking to Professor Ben Eric van Wyk, Professor of Indigenous Botany and Traditional African Medicine at the University of Johannesburg, who's giving us the lowdown on adaptogens.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África. A perspectiva africana.
Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Today we're getting the ins and outs of adaptogens known to be stress relievers and neutralize the effects of stress on the body. Professor Ben Eric van Wyk continues this conversation with us. He's the Professor of Indigenous Botany and Traditional African Medicine at the University of Johannesburg. Well, let's speak about that. You've given us a few examples of what adaptogens have always existed within our African societies and other Eastern societies as well. But let's speak about what's going on right now. There seems to have been really just maybe a trend of sorts to go towards adaptogens once again. There's a reason why many of us are hearing these terms like ashwagandha for the first time, and we're like, wow, now I'm hearing it more often. Now, as a young person in South Africa, I think I know at least 2 people personally that are using, herbs like ashwagandha. Is this a signal of something bigger? And is this really healthy to use something that's outside of your own body and outside of your natural stress relieving ways to try and, find that zen, that peace that we're looking for?
Yes, I think that there is a danger that you can be misled because there are many fake products on the market. And one way to find out is to Google the product. So before you buy something, just Google it and see what comes up, because very often there's no clinical evidence of efficacy. There's often people complaining about side effects and things like that. And you can see from the context that it is basically a money-making scheme. I think there are very few products that one can recommend with confidence that it should work. Even ashwagandha, I think in the traditional context where you have a healer who knows the patient and who knows what the patient requires, those healers should not be underestimated. They have profound insights into a person. They can look at you, look at your eyes, look at your posture, and they can immediately tell what is wrong with you. And then they can recommend something specifically that is good for you. I think a better strategy, if you suffer from stress and anxiety, is to simply have a healthier lifestyle. I think that is the first thing to give attention to.
Yeah.
It's like people who are obese and overweight. Now they drink all sorts of things to try and reduce weight. And there's only one very easy way to reduce weight, and that is to eat less.
Yeah.
And to reduce stress, the best thing to do is to get regular exercise, to eat a healthy diet, because very often those tonics actually are supplements that provides the body with better nutrition, and that obviously will also help you. So I think a healthy lifestyle is the best approach. I would not. There's no magical cure for stress and anxiety. If you do have stress and anxiety, we have conventional anti-stress medicines like Valium, for example. Some people take a smoke, or some people have a glass of wine, and that makes them relax. They feel better. Traditionally in South Africa, we have a very interesting plant called Scalitium or Kanna, Kougoed. And this is a Khoisan traditional medicine that's now making tremendous news worldwide because of the stress relieving action that it has. It has an effect similar to smoking a cigarette, but it's not harmful, and it is not habit forming. So there's no physical or psychological dependency whatsoever. And that plant has a lot of potential, and if you can get good quality Scalitium, that's one thing that I can actually, from personal experience, recommend as a stress reliever.
Nice. But when do you know when to stop? I think that's one thing, right? Because things that we use sometimes can end up being crutches in our lives, where we feel like, yeah, this thing helps me relieve stress, but because I never want to feel stress again, I just keep on going. I'm talking about a tweet actually that I'm reading right now, where someone says, taking ashwagandha has been a blessing for me. Too bad it's made me colder as a person than I already am. And someone else says, well, just wait until you go numb. I dropped 70 pounds on my foot at the gym one time when I was taking it and felt nothing. So it seems like prolonged sometimes use of these products can also have an adverse effect on your natural emotions, your natural feelings, and maybe a numbness towards life in general.
Yes, I think that is a general principle for all medicines. One should never use it chronically over long periods. Any herbal medicine should not be used for longer than, let's say, 7 days or 10 days, because there may be effects on the liver. You may have cumulative effects, cumulative toxic effects, and so on. So it is not safe to use herbal products over a long period. Sometimes these so-called supplements or whatever do not contain any harmful substances. They do not contain anything biologically active. So they would, but any serious medicine has biological activity, and therefore has potential to do harm in some way or another. And herbal medicines are not meant to be taken over long periods as a habit. Not correct.
So how would you recommend that someone who, wants to, get the benefits, the stress relieving benefits of various adaptogens? Of course, they've been told they're natural, so they're not like, other kinds of medicines. And they've also have a long history within our African traditional, cultures and traditions and spectrums. How would one who has found maybe an adaptogen that they think would be best for them to use, ashwagandha or anything else that we can name, how would you recommend they actually use it, and over what period of time?
I think the first thing they should do is to find themselves a healthcare practitioner, be it a traditional doctor or a medical doctor, and discuss the issue with them and get advice, medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I cannot really recommend treatment. I have all the knowledge of the traditions, but I'm not a medical doctor. It would be irresponsible for me to make a recommendation, because people differ. You never know if there's no proper diagnosis. There may be a reason why you are stressful. There may be some underlying problem that you do not recognize, and then if you start using something that won't help because there's some serious problem with you. So I would say always consult a healer or a doctor, and ask them for advice, and even show them the product that you intend to take, and maybe in collaboration with them, research the product a little bit, see who makes it, see if there are any clinical evidence that it can work or not work, or see if it's a scam. So often we find that it's a scam, and then you have many reports in the literature and online saying that people find no benefit.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Because
glad
there's
that
only
I'm glad that
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, we have to wrap it up there because we've run out of time. But I'm glad that you're leaving it there because, that recommendation to say you do still need to get medical or some sort of medical traditional advice before taking these things, even though people, because I see people recommending these things to each other all willy-nilly on social media. Hey, you've got stress. I tried ashwagandha. You should try it too. And people take that advice, so easily and go and take it. Meanwhile, they have underlying issues that need to be dealt with first. So I think it's the best place to leave it, to say, I will not recommend anything. You need to go to a professional and a healthcare professional or a traditional healthcare professional before you take on anything that you're going to be ingesting into your body. Thank you so much, Professor. This has been quite an insightful conversation.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for letting me into your world.
It is a
And
pleasure.
good night,
That's
everyone.
Professor of Indigenous Botany and Traditional Medicine, African Medicine at the University of Johannesburg, Professor Ben Eric van Veek, speaking about adoption. So before you post and say, hey guys, you should try ashwagandha, don't do it. Go first to a healthcare professional. It's 11:31 Central Africa time. Figile Lungati once again back to give us our latest in sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Let's bet off with cricket news. Zimbabwe has produced a dominant all-round display to defeat Namibia by 33 runs in the opening T20 International in Bulawayo, taking a 1-0 lead in the series. After opting to bat, Zimbabwe made a steady start, reaching 23 without loss at the end of the 4 overs. Openers Tadiwanashe Marumani and Brian Bennett mixed caution with aggression, picking boundaries in each over while rotating strike effectively. Bennett's match-winning knock earned him the Player of the Match award as Zimbabwe's batters set the platform and the bowlers did just enough to defend the total. The victory gives Zimbabwe the upper hand ahead of the second T20 International, with Namibia needing to regroup quickly to keep the series alive. On to rugby news. The Springbok women's team has arrived home after a successful Rugby World Cup campaign in England that saw the side make history by reaching the quarterfinals for the very first time. Captain Nolusindiso Boy said the team achieved what they had set out to do and believes they have laid a solid foundation and platform for greater success in years to come.
I felt like the team was ready and was well prepared in a way, and we knew exactly what we wanted to achieve when we get there, and we did achieve what we wanted to achieve in a way that we played against New Zealand, and the first half was that 10-10, and it was something that we were wishing to beat them as well, but then things didn't go to our way. Hopefully that the women's rugby will still grow and be better. Next time, for sure, the team that is going to go to the World Cup will achieve something that is better than what we achieve now.
Boklok Daniel Lochner says getting younger players involved in rugby will ensure this World Cup performance is just the start.
We now know what we are capable of, so I think it's just building off of that, getting more game time, bringing in youngsters, letting them have a go as well. So I think as long as we can have those building blocks in places, we can have a go forward in the future, and we can definitely have better results going from this World Cup.
On to athletics. Botswana's Busang Kolene Kibina Tsipi threw down the gauntlet and a world lead of 43.61 to qualify tops for the men's 400-meter final at the World Athletics Championships Tokyo 2025. The unsung 21-year-old from Botswana emerged from a strong group including Jeremy Richards, 44.12, and Jackery Pedersen, 44.19, who advanced on the strength of their times. The previous world leader, Zagiti Nene of South Africa, won his heat in 44.20 to progress. And now on to rugby news. Argentina have been handed a significant boost ahead of their Rugby Championship clash with the Springboks in Durban. Fly half Thomas Albonoz has been cleared to play and rejoins the Los Pumas squad after missing the recent doubleheader against the Wallabies. 27-year-old had dislocated a finger during Argentina's thrilling victory over the All Blacks in Buenos Aires last month. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Fikile Lengwati. That was our final sports update for the morning. There'll be more sports, of course, in the afternoon. But let's bring back Nosipho Zuma for our latest and final business update this morning.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Good morning. In your business news this hour, a high-level delegation from Lesotho is in the U.S. to plead for reduction in tariffs as the country's biggest employer, the textile sector, is forced to cut jobs as orders dry up following an increase of 15% in imports into the U.S. The delegation, led by Ministry of Trade and Industry, hopes to get a tariff that is below 15%. The CEO of the Private Sector Foundation of Lesotho, Thabo Qesi.
It might be too late, but as I see things, the new tariffs have really nullified AGOA. I don't see how AGOA can be extended because already we are having the tariffs that are subjected to the imports or exports in countries that are exporting to the U.S. market. So even the allies, long-standing allies with U.S., you can talk of Japan, South Korea, they were hit hard, by the tariffs.
Rising debt levels are pushing many African governments into austerity measures with serious consequences for basic human rights, including healthcare, education, and social protection. Now, this is according to Principal Managing Partner at Dzunga Bamulo International in South Africa, Arnold Dzunga.
Austerity measures at a global level in terms of support for human rights work has really gone down, and it was aggravated by President Trump's decision to disband USAID. But what we were saying and the proposition we are making at this conference is that it is time that African civil society actors, human rights activists, pro-democracy activists stop outsourcing their struggles to donors.
South Africa's Energy Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has told the Parliament that he will soon announce his department's plan to address the surging electricity tariffs. The National Energy Regulator of South Africa is responsible for determining Eskom's electricity tariffs. Ramokgopa says the increase in the cost of electricity is too high.
And I'm on record having admitted that the cost of electricity is prohibitively high. It undermines the competitiveness of the economy and it erodes the disposable income of households. I'll come back to the portfolio committee and also to the country to announce the measures that we are going to take to address the runaway cost of electricity. Thank you very much, House Chair.
The South African government has chosen 11 private companies to assist Transnet to transport freight by rail. Transport Minister Barbara Creecy revealed this when she answered questions in the National Assembly yesterday. However, she says the companies still have to go through regulatory screening. She says the companies' support will increase the bulk of Transnet's freight transportation by almost 20 million tons annually.
We are extremely pleased that Transnet has managed to accept 11 private companies to assist us in moving freight on the network. And let me say that should these companies manage to pass the regulatory processes, they will in due course increase the amount of tonnage that we are able to transport on the network by almost 20 million tons of freight per annum.
And finally, the Jerry from the Ben & Jerry ice cream brand has announced that he's stepping down from the company that he helped to found almost 5 decades ago. The firm has had long-standing tensions with its parent company over the political activism of its bosses. The BBC's Katie Silva has the details.
Jerry Greenfield founded the iconic ice cream brand alongside his childhood friend Ben Cohen in the US state of Vermont in the late 70s. From one ice cream store, it grew to be a huge global brand and was acquired by Unilever in 2000. But in recent times, its management has increasingly butted heads with the parent company over its social activism. A few years ago, it said it would stop selling ice cream in the Israel-occupied West Bank, and more recently sued its owner over alleged attempts to silence it, calling the conflict in Gaza a genocide.
Now, for any news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Suma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapashwa kuwa na maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea. Usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini utegemee kujiajiri, na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine. Na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Ayaye makati ayaye. Ayaye bawito ayaye. Bawito sangata bawito.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
On a Sunday morning, she won't do something, I won't go church. On a Monday morning, I won't do something, she won't go walk. I better, no move this way. I better, police, yeah, police. She don't take my heart, they go. Police, yeah, police. She don't take my heart, they go. You body me, my baby. If money no dey, I like you again, I like you again. Papa la no sense. Will you body me, my baby? If you body no dey, I like you again, I like you again. Papa la no sense. Friday morning she want attention, I want do yoga. On a Friday night when I want attention, she want to roll out. I better.
Oh man, I really love the music of those continents. Kiss Daniel, Angelique Kidjo and Johnny Drill. Police is the name of this one. Before that gave you Mr. Bao featuring Makazi with Wolo Lo. 11:48 Central Africa time. We're speaking about adaptogens, and if you've never heard of that term before, these are medicines such as ashwagandha, and maybe you might have heard that one before, but stress relieving medicines, and they're pretty natural, as we've heard from our professor this morning. But there is ways that you actually need to be quite careful, right? So there's no one size fits all when it comes to relieving your stress. But If you have taken some of these adaptogens, especially the most popular as we've mentioned, maybe you let me know. How has it been working out for you? How long have you been taking it? And have you seen any long-term side effects? Let's find out from you. Let me know on +27 63406 9126 or join our live stream on YouTube at Channel Africa 1 or on Facebook, Channel Africa. To go to the comment section and let me know you've used this, you've used that, you've used the other, and this is how this has worked for me. It's 11:50 Central Africa time. Before we wrap up and say goodbye, let's take another short break.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Utokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka. Kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800-428-428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Take me by the hand, show me the way I can go. Take me by the hand, show me the way.
Young one
It's Papa Wemba. Show me the way is how we wrap up the conversations of On the Move this morning. But of course, we never leave you empty-handed. And we're showing you the way to the Africa update with Lulu Gabu. And she's here to let us know what's coming up. Morning, Lulu.
Good morning, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks. And how are you?
Doing good,
Lone
thank
Ranger
you.
today, hey?
Yeah.
Well, all right. So, and it is Happy Hum Day.
It is. And Ben likes to say Hump Day.
I know. All right, today we go back to Malawi. We do have our correspondent, George Mahango, on the ground, as well as our reporter, Michael Mbewe, covering the elections for us in Malawi. And, with early votes counting in northern parts of the country, President Peter Mutharika taking an early lead. So whether this will continue, whether this will stand for the rest of the day is going to be an interesting one to unpack. And then also the Madlanga Commission underway. So, you can imagine when Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi starts speaking and he's asked to give his background, education, academia, and so on, and other qualifications. He's been to training. With the FBI in the US.
Wow.
So there's a lot that is coming through, and it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to be speaking to our reporter, that's Dimakazo Lushoro, who is at the Madlanga Commission, and she'll be unpacking for us exactly how this is unfolding. I mean, I saw the introduction of by Advocate Mudawu, and he was talking about how the commission is going to run from day one today, and for the next 3 months, with a preliminary report given to the president with the recommendations, and thereafter 6 months later. So it is going to be an interesting one, and this is. It's the beginning of it. South Africans, we're all waiting to hear exactly how this will unfold and who has done what, and accountability. Yeah, so all that and more coming up on Africa Update today.
Thank you, Lulu. We're looking forward to it. And thank you for keeping me company and spending the past 3 hours with me. I hand over the reins to Lulu Gabu. Stay right here on Channel Africa for the latest news, views, and entertainment from the African perspective. Have a great day, Africa. Bye.
Clarity is clear to see. I think it's time we confronted the situation in front of us. And I think it's time we talk it out and forget all the fuss. And if it's not me, I'll have to understand, and I'll be out your way. No drama involved, but if you feel it's me, if you feel I'm the one,